welcome you to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth. And power, when you talk truth, you talk Power Talks. Welcome, Melody. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning to you, and good morning to the listeners.
Oh, absolutely. And we want to give out the phone number right away because we have some things we want to discuss with you. And the number is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Well, is our president going to let us down? Is he going to let the American people that nominated him for specific reasons that he was running, is he going to cave in and, like all the other presidents before him that promised to fix immigration, and is he going to cave in? What do you think, Melody?
Well, I guess he had dinner again with who he calls Chuck and Nancy.
Chuck and Nancy.
That just irritates me. But anyway.
Like they're high school buddies. Chuck and Nancy.
Well, they are. They go back a long, him and Schumer go back a long way. I mean, they're buddies. They are friends. And that's okay. That's okay as long as you can separate the two. But Mr. Trump said today that he's working with the Democratic leaders on a plan to legalize illegal immigrant dreamers, and said he won't insist on funding his border wall as part of it, saying that will come later. So they had dinner last night. The White House yesterday said they'd all reached sort of a framework which would speed a bill to grant the dreamers full legal status, coupled with more border security. They said the president agreed that the wall wouldn't be part of that security, but they would improve on, the security of the southern border. They're looking to renovate large sections of the existing wall, increase the border agents and so forth. Let's see. So I guess that's, while we wait for this to finally become a deal, I'm sure the Democrats had to go back to their people to see if they could get it done and so forth. But
Chuck and Nancy are feeling pretty proud of themselves. They think they think they've got a deal because that's what they're saying. And of course, the president came out and said, "No, we don't have a deal." And what's he said here? No deal was made last night on DACA. Massive border security would have to be agreed to be exchanged for content. Would be subject to vote. Well, now, what does he mean subject to vote? Voters? The American voters? Or does he mean Congress or what?
Well, yeah, it would have to be voted on by Congress. So, I mean, it has to, so I don't think it'd be the American people. It would have
I can't see him giving up the wall completely because he preached that so loud in his campaign. But we've seen it happen before. We know that they schnookered President Reagan in this very same way. We'll give you this if you give us that, and then only half of that got done, and you can guess which half. And last night they were talking about all of a sudden, since DACA has come to conversation, and they're talking about possible, what do they call it, amnesty, that all of a sudden tons of these people are coming across the border again, the young people coming across the border, hoping to get amnesty, hoping to get forgiveness. And they said that happens every time they start talking amnesty. All of a sudden they flood over the border, and that's what's going on now.
Well, from what I understand, this isn't just about the dreamers that are here. This is about making the law, making them legal, the law, and for future. It's not like they're cutting it off, is my understanding. It's not like they're cutting it off and say, okay, we're going to let those who, were able to get through on the dreamer, okay, we'll fast track you to citizens and so forth. No. I think they want to make DACA legal, so it would continue. I don't know what changes that no one's released any changes to the law or to that executive order.
The only thing we could hope in all this is that they make the visas so strict that when they come in here, that or if they overstay the visas and that kind of thing, that and if they make it very strict about being illegal coming across the border, they've got to continue. It's got to continue to be illegal to cross that border without permission. We can't just have open borders, which is what the Democrats and the lefties want. They want a complete open border. They don't want anybody to be stopped. And that's just asking for an invasion, which we've almost got now, Melody, with what's gone on. And a lot of these dreamers, I would say, if they're going to give them amnesty, there has to be really strict criteria as to if you've ever been in a crime, if you're a member of a gang, if you've done this, or if you haven't finished your high school education, if you're not interested in getting educated. I would think that they would need to make some pretty strict guidelines for that.
Sure,
and I'm just making those up off the top of my head.
Sure, absolutely, they need to be vetted because we don't even know who they are. But the thing of it is, they can't allow this to go on. If they want to pass but you can't say anymore, for future, kids that come across with their parents illegally and so forth, that they get to have the same treatment of the DACA program. It's like, no, eliminate the program, and if you want to fast track these dreamers with some, which I don't agree with, but if you want to fast track these with the citizens and so forth, vet them and be done with it. But
vet them strictly. I mean, if they are law-abiding non-citizens, if they are law-abiding, which they're already not because they came across here illegally, even if it was their parents that drugged them. Apparently, those coming across right now to get this, they're not being dragged across. They're walking across the border. They're young people walking across the border, maybe pregnant women walking across the border, trying to get this taken care of for the next generation. But there absolutely has to be something done. But if there's somebody that has been in, they say a lot of them are in their 30s now, their 20s and 30s. If they are here, they've gone through high school, they've got jobs, or they've even gone through college and they've got jobs and they have not been in any trouble, then let's vet them and let's see what kind of citizens they would be. But I think how unfair that is to all those who went through all the hoops that we've asked them to go through to become citizens. What a slap in the face it is to those that did everything.
And they don't agree with them. They don't agree with them. And I get that. My question is, you have all of these adults who were brought here illegally with their illegal parents. I don't think the parents just left them here. Where are they? They're all probably still illegal.
Take the whole family and leave.
Take the whole family and leave.
And people think that sounds cruel, but the mother whose son was killed by an illegal dreamer that was here, she says, I can't go to another country and call my child. I mean, there's worse things than having to live in a different place than your parents. And if their parents brought them here illegally, then their parents are here illegal. They can all go back. Like President Donald Trump said when he was on the campaign, they can leave, and then they can come back legally. But they have to leave.
And the thing of it is,
now he's not saying that, but
supposedly they're going to college and so forth. Well, if they're illegal, I mean, they were illegal until Obama passed the DACA executive order, which made them semi-legal, I guess. I guess. But who's paid for their colleges? Who's paid for their health care? Who's paid, they pay no taxes. So while they're here, if they want that, okay, you've been working at this ABC company, and let's just figure out what you owe the United States from, and your colleges and so forth and whatnot. How does all that, come into play? And it does sound terrible. It sounds terrible. It makes us sound like we're
heartless, but we're not heartless.
But we're not.
We wouldn't be able to do those things. I mean, and I know that people think, well, that's just not the same thing. But should you leave the doors of your house open and just let whoever wants to walk in and go raid your refrigerator and watch your TV and not do anything, to earn it? I mean, That's the same thing. So they come in across the border because we aren't watching it like we should be, and they invade in our home, the United States of America, and they take advantage of things. They'll even get Social Security numbers illegally. They do all kinds of things to survive here. They're better at it than you and I are, Melody. Mm-hmm. And we need to figure out how to do some of that. So the question is, Melody has a question for you. To build the wall, was it just symbolic reference to a stronger presence on the border to secure the southern border, or are we really going to build the wall? You know, I like the idea of the big, beautiful wall that was going to be
paid for by Mexico. Well, we know that's not going to happen.
Well, I never did think they were going to write a check, but I think they might end up paying for it one way or another.
I think if Mexico pays for it, I think also the United States will pay for it to some degree also. But we do need a stronger presence on the border. We do need to stop the flow of the illegal immigration across that southern border. That does need to be stopped. Do we need to have a wall? Well, you know what? But did that terminology of build the wall and Mexico's going to pay for it, how much of that did people vote for? Did they feel so strongly about, did they actually voted for Mr. Trump, for President Trump?
I think they did. And I think, Ann Coulter wrote an article last week, and she went through all the different things that every time immigration comes up, how the people vote. The people don't want to be invaded here. Now, it's not that we don't welcome immigration legal. It's not that we don't like immigrants. We do. Many of our ancestors were, except for mine, I think they came over on the Mayflower. But I guess they were still immigrants, according to the Indians. They didn't belong here. But that's not the case. The case is the American people are suffering because of decisions made in D.C. And those decisions made in D.C. always seem to be cutting deals, and here we are cutting another deal just to get along. I don't have a problem with him meeting with Schumer and Pelosi. I don't have a problem with him crossing the line. I think you have to. Obviously, you're not going to get anything done if they just sit there and twiddle their thumbs and yell and scream and call names and prompt Russian investigations and obstruct the president in every way. But we're also not getting anywhere with Republicans either. So I think you have to be bipartisan in order to get anything done. So I don't have a problem with him meeting. I will have a big problem if he, depending on how it goes down, I know they've got to do something. We've got ourselves between a rock and a hard place here, so we've got to do something. But if he compromises way too much, I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
Well, one thing, you can't fund the wall when you're sending $15 billion to Houston. That's already been paid and sent to Houston on the emergency funding that was attached to the debt ceiling. Right. So you've got $15 billion, and that's just the beginning. So how in the heck are we able to fund the wall? It's no way possible.
Well, I liked the idea of the big energy wall, and that never got brought up again, but I always thought that would be kind of cool. Where he was talking about the solar panels and all that, having a big energy wall. And I thought, that might even pay for itself. That might be a neat thing, but I never heard another word about it. That got squashed pretty quick. And I thought that might have been something we really should have looked into for more than one reason. I hear music. We're going into a break. We really want to hear from you. 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218. Do you agree that Build the Wall is just a symbolic reference to a strong presence on the border to secure our southern border, or do you think we're really going to build a physical wall and has the president compromised? 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the Left Behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We're talking truth, or we're trying to talk the truth. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Perhaps when I gave the question, I gave it out a little bit too lengthy. Bottom line, will you be disappointed? Does it mean anything to you to physically build a wall on the border? What do you think about our borders? Should they be made secure just by additional troops or people or whatever, or do you think we should physically build at least part of a wall? We know we can't build a wall all across the border, but what do you think? Will you be disappointed in President Trump's decision if there is no wall built?
And we have a caller. We have Joe joining us from Arkansas. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I'm all right, and how are y'all?
Great.
We're doing good.
Yeah.
What you got?
Okay, yeah, as far as the wall goes, no, I don't think it's necessary to build a wall. I think it's very important to secure the borders, and that could certainly be done without building a wall. You know, I have nothing against building a wall, but I think the border could be made perfectly secure without the wall. So I don't think it's needed, although I'm not against it. But I wanted to say something about, you know, what I think should be done with the illegal immigrants. And, you know, I think a little bit of creative problem solving might help there. And this is my idea on what should be done about that. I think all the illegal immigrants should be given 90 days to sign up for a course in American government and history. And if they don't sign up for that course, you know, then they would be deported when they're found. But anyone that signs up for the course, they would be taught a very good course in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and American history and all the things that would make somebody, all the things that somebody needs to know to become a good patriotic citizen, and it should be taught by somebody that is not a left-winger or a Marxist. And then and the course should be taught in English, so they have to know English to be able to pass the course. And if they pass the course, then they can become citizens to stay here. And if they don't pass the course, or if they don't sign up to take the course, then they should be deported. And that way, all the illegal immigrants that want to become good citizens would become good citizens and add to the country and add value to the country. And the ones that were just here freeloading or something like that, they would be gone. And so that would help the country. That's the way I think that problem ought to be solved.
Oh, that was one of the restrictions on the visas when this was a few months back. It was they had to speak English, and that disrupted the media. They were very upset. That was just cruel, and so only people from Australia and Great Britain are going to be allowed in here. And what's that guy's name? Steve something. He went after Costas and about that, and about you think those are the only people that know how to speak English? What a racist remark he told him, and of course they throw that term around so wildly, but he was throwing it back in his face. And but I agree with you. I think those are all good things there, Joe.
Yeah, well, as far as speaking English goes, I went to India, and it seemed like most people there spoke some English. And I went to Italy one time, and it seemed like an awful lot of people there spoke some English, too. So English is very well known around the world. And anyway, since English is the language of the United States, anyone that's serious about staying here and contributing to the country and being a worthwhile citizen of this country, they should be happy to learn English. Same if I was going to move to someplace like Peru or Bolivia or Chile or something like that, I would want to learn Spanish. I would want to, intensively study Spanish and become fluent and proficient in Spanish, so that I could be a good contributing citizen to that country. So I don't see anything wrong with this idea of, you got to learn English to be in this country. Somebody should be happy to learn it.
Well, and I think they should absolutely have to be willing to assimilate. And if they're not, then they need to be deported. That's my opinion. I have that opinion of a lot of citizens here that don't want to have a republic. I think we ought to deport them, but I'm kind of hard-nosed sometimes. I'm not sure how we get that done. I'm still waiting for all those who promised to leave the country if Donald Trump was elected to leave.
We can't even get rid of them after they promised to leave.
We can't even get them to be quiet. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate the call.
Okay.
I think we've got Oscar. Do we have Oscar on?
Yes,
from North Carolina?
Yes, we do.
Hi, Oscar. Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
We're good. How are you doing, sir?
It's a very special day for me. I want to share with you something. It's the celebration of my 47th year being in the United States, coming through the door, not the window. And I'm very proud to say that. And now, in reference to your remarks about this situation with immigration and everything, I pretty much have the feeling in the conviction that the immigration laws are good. They've been there for a long time, and they keep saying that they're outdated, that they're not good. They want to change everything, but they want to change everything in order to accommodate themselves. This politicians, There's a lot of details in here in this thing with immigration. A lot of people don't know. I want to tell you something. I am a Latino, and because I am a Latino, I know the whole bottom line of this enchilada. One of those bottom line points is the fact concerning drugs. A lot of these people that come here, they are blackmailed in order to come here. They have to bring drugs in order to be brought here. And by these people that they bring them here, they call them over there polleros and coyotes and everything. And if they don't bring the drugs, they left alone in the desert to die, at their own fate, whatever. So, and why they have to bring drugs here? Because the drugs is a big business, which is a lot of people in high places involved with it.
Yep.
A lot of people in high places, I'm not going to tell you who they are because I don't know exactly their name, but I know for a fact that a lot of people in high places are involved with this drug business. That's
I would
one
say
thing.
high places on both sides of the border, wouldn't you, Oscar?
Absolutely. Just remember when the weapons were furnished to the drug cartels in Mexico by somebody here in a very high place. I would say the highest place. And but here in America, we're not allowed to have guns, right? This is one thing. Now, in reference to the politicians, if I'm allowed to speak a little longer, I want to say something. Often enough during the campaign, it was the talk. It was about draining the swamp. Okay, the thing is, if you're going to have people in government in office that are screwed up to their senatorial chairs forever, nothing is going to ever get done because these people are there, like Melody said one time, they don't vote there. They pay for their position. And that's true. And how they pay? By giving favors to the people in high places, higher than the ones that they occupy them. So, it should be 4 years and you out of there. Now, if you completed good terms for 4 years, you're going to leave a legacy. But I got a question for everybody here in America. What legacy Mr. John McCain is going to leave after being there forever, being a traitor? Because this guy is a traitor to this country and to his army and everything. I don't know if you heard about the Tokyo Rose speech he made when he was captured in Vietnam.
Yes.
It's incredible. This guy should have been, by any means, brought up in charges, court-martial, and thrown out in jail. But they made it absolutely a hero out of him. And why? Because they want to use him. That's what I'm saying. People in high places use these politicians to manipulate them like marionettes. And the people here in America don't know that. Just go to TokyoRoseJohnMcCain.com. And you're going to hear the whole speech he made there, condemning the Army, condemning the United States, and praising his captures. All right? So that is a treason to the coat of arms and a treason to his country. So, this is what I have to say in regards to the politicians. They should be there only 4 years, and if they complete a good term, they're going to leave a legacy. But other than that, they should finish. And,
right now what we have right now.
I thank you so much for letting me talk too long. I'm sorry, I talked too much. I'll let somebody else call now.
You don't. We love it when you call. We learn from you, Oscar. You're my hero. You're my new hero.
And I learn from you, and I agree with you and everything. And I appreciate the fact that you let me talk and get it out of my chest. I feel so much better when I talk to you.
You feel better, Oscar.
Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.
And congratulations on your 47th year as a citizen of the United States. So thank you for doing things legally.
Today. I'm going to celebrate today, and I appreciate your remarks. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Oscar.
God bless you.
Enjoy your celebration. And I agree. We need term limits. There's so many things that can be done to help drain the swamp. At least, remove that the little plug a little bit so we can start draining. And I believe term limits is one of them.
Well, term limits should happen at the polls every time we vote, but it doesn't seem to be happening. I think there should be a limit on the money they spend.
Absolutely.
I mean, they are definitely buying their positions, and that's why Hillary was in absolute shock when she lost, because she thought she had it bought and paid for. She'd been working on it for years. I believe in my heart, Melody, I cannot prove it. I was really quickly, there's so much to do in the morning when I walk in here, but I thought, one of these days I've got to really get back and dig in. I believe a lot of this goes back to those FBI files, the Filegate. When she stole, walked out, unknowingly, whatever, with the FBI files. I believe they've got dirt on a lot of people. And I believe she has built the Clinton empire We know they did. We know the foundation was dirty. We know it was a pay for play. Why, if it was such a good organization helping so many, why did they close it right after the election? Why did it all of a sudden close? But I still think it goes back. She is not a good person. And I think the fact that she has not been quiet, that she says, well, I had to accept it. Well, it doesn't seem to me like you've accepted anything. And one thing I did when I went on the air was, if there was anything I could do or say to keep Hillary Clinton from being elected president, I was going to do whatever it took. And I don't know that I had that large of impact on CSC Talk Radio, but I nearly cried the next morning because there was a fax on my fax machine thanking me for what I had done to keep Hillary from getting elected. So one person at least thought that I had at least a strong enough voice with my own audience that we didn't tell any lies or anything. We just told who she was, and that's all we did. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. The problem is, I get it with Hillary. I agree. But she's not the only one. You have Washington that's rife with, the same types of focus that they have had on the Clinton Foundation and what they have done in politics all these years. And that's the problem. And I think sometimes also the media and everything gets focused perhaps there will be a scapegoat. Perhaps that will, I guess it depends on how much pressure is put on the elite to have a scapegoat, to remove the pressure from them, because there are higher ups than Hillary. So if they're looking to be exposed, they'll just as soon as get rid of their biggest problem, if necessary. So a lot of the focus is on the Clintons, and certainly Hillary, because, she did come close to being the president of the United States, which would have been disastrous. But she's not the only one that has tons of info on a lot of other, and I believe you can be an honest person going into Washington. I think it's a matter of time. We wonder how these people turn. Certainly it can be just being bought off by the money and so forth, but I really do. They're set up. They're put in positions to make certain decisions. I'm not a fan of Marco Rubio, but I think his Gang of Eight, I think that's a prime example, and that, allowed him to lose, his campaign efforts for president, because that was a big focus. And so, they have.
And again, that tells what the American people, how the American people really feel about this immigration issue.
Absolutely. It's a very, Clinton says it's the economy, stupid. Well, it's only the economy when, the stock markets are low. Then all of a sudden it's the economy. And I think immigration always has been a very big,
it does have to do with the economy as well, because that's what, Mike Cutler, we had him on last week, and he will just stand there and tell you that the immigration crisis, legal and illegal, is the crust of many of the issues. He says all of the issues we're facing. Now, you and I know there's more to the economy than just that, but they are affecting the economy. We're paying how much for their education. We're paying how much. Some of them are on welfare. We're paying how much, letting them have the jobs that American people would have. And I do not buy the story, well, they're only taking jobs that we're not willing to do, because I don't buy that. I think more of of the American people than that. There may be some people that think they're above washing dishes or pulling weeds or harvesting crops, or there's a lot of people that don't know how to do the things out in the field as far as taking care of the crops and bringing in the harvest. But
we have become We have become a very comfortable nation.
Yes, we are. We're a spoiled people.
We're a spoiled people, and it's not so much that we don't have people to labor in those positions. It's we don't have the wages to compensate them for doing that type of labor. And the immigration, of course, is a big player in lowering those wages. They are willing to accept far less than, because we have taxes, we have our expenses are a lot more than the illegal immigrant that comes into this country, particularly because they get, not compensated, but they get the benefits. They get welfare, they get the subsidies from the government. So it's a lot cheaper for them to live than it is for,
and there are those Americans here that are willing to take advantage. They take advantage of these coming in here too. And that does happen. We know it does. We know corporate America loves them coming in and getting the lesser wages. But also in this little community, and this was several years ago, and I'm sure it's still going on. There was somebody renting a house to some immigrants that were here, and I don't know if they were legal or illegal. I would suspect they were illegal, but that's neither here nor there. But they were renting the house, and then another family of them is a pretty big house, country house. Another family, that person that was renting it to them rented each one of them. He charged each one of them the full rent. So he was taking advantage. Now maybe he was thinking, well, this, they're not going to be kind to the premises, but he was taking advantage of them coming in here. I could see upping the rent per person, but he charged each one of them, per family anyway, the full rent that you would charge one person living in the house. So there are those that are taking advantage of the immigrants, legal and illegal, coming into this country, and that is hurting America. It's hurting American jobs. It's hurting Americans, and it's immigration crisis, legal and illegal, is causing a lot of problems.
But it's these cities and these states, though, that are the problems. You have just now, I think it was College Park in Maryland. What's wrong with these people in that city or county that passed the law where non-citizens can now vote? It's a sanctuary city. What the heck is wrong with these people?
Well, we don't have to count their votes then. Let's not count their votes. How can they do that?
How can they do
that? Well,
is
that even legal? Is that even legal under the Constitution? I don't think so.
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, you've got sovereignty, but there are certain lines to walk. I know that this came up this week where the U.S. imposed visa sanctions on 4 countries that refused to accept the deported nationals. And so Homeland Security, this came out on Wednesday, which was yesterday. It was Cambodia, Eritrea, I don't know how to say that, Eritrea, Guinea, and I think this one is hysterical, Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone came to be Sierra Leone after our Revolutionary War, and we sent 100,000 people packing out of here. If they didn't want to live under a constitutional republic and they wanted to live under the king, we sent them out. And many of the black people that fought for the king, they got sent out as well. I mean, it was white and black and whatever other color they were. If they didn't want to live under the republic, constitutional republic, of course we didn't have a constitution at that time, they were sent packing. And it was the black people that left that developed Sierra Leone. So I think that's funny that they're not accepting these illegals or these deportees that need to go home. But they're not going to accept them. And when you start, when you really read history, it kind of connects some dots. And I wished I'd have paid more attention as a kid to history. And that was from a timeline that I had for the Revolutionary War. And and I had forgot about that. I did remember that we did study that a little bit when I was a kid, but I'd forgot about that, and I didn't know that that's how Sierra Leone came to be. So, they don't want to take them, so we're going to hit them with some tough sanctions. I don't know if that'll help or not, but we are going to have a problem deporting people because some of these countries aren't going to take them back. If I was those that are coming across the southern border, I'd be upset. Mexico doesn't want them.
If these countries don't take them back, then we stop our funding to them. It's
Absolutely.
that simple. It's that really
Absolutely.
that simple.
And you know, I don't know how you feel about this, Melody, but if they have been here and they have been convicted of a violent crime.
Forget violent.
Well,
how about just
no,
a crime?
but what I'm saying is like the man who killed Kate. I think he should have the death penalty.
They should be
I think he should have
in a public forum anymore. Just like the shooting.
You and I are on the same.
Just like the shooting in Washington yesterday. Yes, a student. Why? Who knows? I didn't follow up on it. Killed another student, shot 5 others. You know what? String them up in a public forum. The person over the Labor Day weekend in Texas who killed his ex-wife, they were going through a divorce. She was having a little football party or something. He comes over and shoots 9 people, kills 9 people. You know what? String them up in a public forum, and you know what? Stuff will stop. You know?
Absolutely. You know, I had somebody a long time ago, we were discussing...
I'm going to get a lot of emails on that one.
Yeah, but this gentleman was talking about domestic violence. He said, you know, if we'd go back to if some guy's beating his wife and her brothers take him out and give him a little of their own medicine, he said, you see some of that stop.
Absolutely.
He said, go back to the old ways when the brothers came in there. You know what? You're not going to hit my sister again.
Absolutely. And it's so, yeah, there's a lot of things that we could do, but it can't be done because, you know, again, we're going back to, you know, it's not a matter about law anymore. It's about being politically correct. And I had a friend.
And feelings and how you were raised. And
I had a high school friend who worked for the welfare department in a town called Lebanon, Pennsylvania. And that was where, you know, we graduated from high school in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Oh. And she was in charge of, I mean, it goes back quite a few years. And I'm going to have to finish the story.
You've left us on the edge now. We have to know what happened. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. The number to call to join in on our conversation is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe. so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks. We're in the final segment of today's show, and as we went into that break, Melody was going back to school. She was talking about it. Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and I said, we have a Lebanon, Missouri, too. Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Go back to what you're telling us.
There's Lebanons everywhere, but she worked for the welfare department. And even when I was in Missouri, because I lived in Missouri briefly, we knew that the manufacturing of poultry, they advertised in Mexico for help. And she said they did in upstate into the New England areas. I can't remember which state. They brought down a lot from there. They would advertise, and Lebanon would advertise for immigrants. And the subsidy, she says, Melody, she says, the welfare that we paid them, she says, was just unbelievable. She says, we bought cars for them. That's what always stuck in my mind. She says, we bought cars for them so they could get here. We rented houses for them. And she says we'd rent a house for them for one family, and the next thing you know, they had 3 or 4 families living in there. And she says, and it was, I think her position was to determine whether they got these benefits. And she says, whenever I turned anybody down, she says, I always got written up. So, these cities, these states, and the city, Lebanon, would get subsidies from the state to take the people. And that's why they advertised for them, because the more they brought in, the more money they'd get from the state. And, of course, the state, the more they brought into the area, the more they got from the federal government.
And that's why when someone campaigns for president or anywhere else, but particularly president, and they speak harshly and strongly about immigration, that both parties hate them.
Yep.
I said it all along. It just made sense to me. It was the trade. It was the immigration. Corporate America wants it.
Absolutely.
And they've been talking to those D.C. occupiers, occupying offices, cutting deals. And that's exactly what's been going on. And when they say they're getting ready to do a deal, I kind of shudder.
But you know what? So many people don't know about, the deals that are made and the amount of money that is traded and brought down. You'd think they would, but, they just look at Republicans like we have no compassion. Well, no, you know what? It's really about the dollar. Because if you're bankrupt, you can't afford to have compassion. You can't help people that are really in need. So it is important about our monetary system. And it is important that, we get back to a strong monetary policy. And everybody is just comfortable with the Dow trading at 22,000. Every day they keep hitting records. And every day you have more and more people from Goldman Sachs to Warren Buffett to, Ray Dalio to, tons of other people who are warning these markets are not going to stay. Now, they list them for other reasons, but they're still warning. And here was another one that I thought was interesting. This guy's name is Christopher Cole. He runs a hedge fund, and he makes bets on various forms of financial apocalypse trading. He spotted something amid the sprawl of data and code that's decorated his walls of screens before him. The article goes on and they expand it and so forth. Let me just get down to the details. Now, he's had this company since 2012. He started it with $1 million. He now has quite a bit more. I think he was to the tune of couple billion or so. So, the guy's kind of smart. He knew how to trade. But then again, in that climate, who couldn't make a profit, when you're looking at, $6,000 Dow at the time he got into the market to 22,000 now. So, it doesn't, timing is everything, folks. Doesn't take a rocket scientist. It's all about timing. And this is the time that you get out of paper and get into gold, and you could be classified as a rocket scientist. But what he talks about, he talks about the volatility. And everybody believes that this non-volatility that we've been experiencing is going to continue and continue. He says after peaking the volatility, the VIX index, close to 90 at the time of the financial crisis, as of yesterday afternoon it was 10.5. We've seen it break down into the 8s, which means there's absolutely no one believes there's going to be any volatility. Now, he's basing this also on a comparison of the 30th anniversary of Black Monday, and that's when the S&P 500 stock plunged 20% back in 1987. He says the fact that everyone has been incentivized to be short volatility has set up this reflexive stability, which he means is a false peace. He says, but if we have some sort of shock to the system, all of these self-reflexive elements reverse in the other direction, and it becomes destabilizing as opposed to stabilizing. And this is exactly, everyone is betting that this safe element is going to continue, that no one believes there's going to be any shock to this system. I mean, this is the second longest bull market in modern financial history. And this guy, he's kind of weird. He actually wears a clock, a watch, to remind himself to make full use of each day. He wears a watch that counts off the time he has left to live. 50 years and 4 months. So he makes sure this is not every... I don't know, if I looked at it and saw that I had 50 years to live, I probably wouldn't be productive. But hey... to each his
Party
own.
while you can, girl.
Party while you can. But
okay, after I don't really believe that.
But after talking about the volatility, and that's what he's betting on, he says that all of these volatility sellers are going to turn in buyers, and it's going to drop the markets like a hot potato that you've never seen. But in the end of this whole article that he talks about this volatility, and he really does believe, and it's not real. His statement is, he says, volatility is an instrument of truth. And the more you deny the truth, the more the truth you will find through volatility. If central banks want to keep saving the day, that is fine. But volatility will then be transmuted through other forms, like populism, identity politics, and threaten the fabrics of democracy. And that is something that his hedge fund will never be able to protect, meaning no matter what he does, if he shorts the markets and so forth, his hedge fund will never be able to protect what happens to this country. Now, yes, he talks about that fabric of democracy. Yes, he talks about populism. But the whole point, this is what we're seeing in this country. Look at, we've been in this no volatility for so long. It's like easy peasy. And when it strikes, you see, or it's beginning to unfold, you see the riots in Charlottesville. You see the various dysfunctions of the American people. You see their reactions. There's something going on, and it's coming out through the people. And populism, socialism, things are being embraced that would never have been embraced before. And he is right about that. And but this volatility is a rude awakening. And to me, volatility is reality. Reality will open and strike this nation. And we'll find that these central banks have ruined this country and countries all around the world that have used this fiat system just in order to become wealthier, more powerful, and to grow these governments And guess what? No one's going to be there for you but you.
So I think about I know this sounds like a terrible analogy, but I think about a Twilight Zone I saw when I was a little kid, and when I was a young woman. And this couple were in this house, and they woke up, they didn't know where they were, and they're in this house. It looks like a really nice house, but everything in it's fake. There's, nothing in it is real. And they keep hearing this laughing. Well, it ended up, as you go to the end of it, that they were kidnapped by a giant and given to his daughter. They were in a dollhouse. They were pets. And they were manipulating everything that they did. And sometimes I think that's where we are as people, with the big government and the big bankers that are just manipulating the markets. They manipulate everything, the jobs, this immigration issue, which has to do with money and jobs and other people making more money, while the people in the United States of America and other countries, other nations, do without. And I always think back to that Twilight Zone, just because we're being manipulated.
Well, we're leaving this Twilight Zone. I want to give folks 1-800-375-4188. We were running a special on Silver Eagles today. I didn't get a chance to get it out, but give us a call at 1-800-375-4188.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more, using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.